Hello, this is Malorian, and this is the Orc Tactical Team. With me today is Shira, and what we're going to be talking about today is this more on our old issue of how orcs deal with tournament armies. And the one we're going to be talking about today is dwarves. And dwarves are a fairly tough foe in 8th for a couple of different reasons.
I have art.
Yes, you have orcs, and they're really tough, right? Do they have trouble with dwarves? Why do they have trouble with dwarves?
Because they fight over there.
Yeah, they fight. They actually fight really well. They have the hatred against greenskins, which
and
is...
a blue hat.
That's right. Oh, yeah, mine has a blue hat because he's awesome. But anyway, they have the hatred against greenskins. And when you combine that with great weapons, great weapon warriors, big ears, hammerers, things like that, they're going to hit you amazingly hard in the first round of combat.
And
so then again...
Orange has shield.
Yeah, they have shields too sometimes, so they can be hard to hurt, but a lot of times their great weapons are better. But the big thing here is that you need to get past that first round of combat.
Orange has swords.
Yeah, I have swords sometimes. You hear it. Shira, just let me tell them a few things and ask you a few questions at the end. Now, so they have that hatred, so when you first charge in there, they're going to do devastating damage to you. So you just have to find a way to get past that first bunch of damage. And so one of the things you can do is find ways to throw in a unit to begin with, a one that's just going to get slaughtered and hold, and then hit them after with the one that's going to break them. So there's two ways of doing that. One, you can hit them with something like a big unit of night goblins with nets. They're just there to get their butts kicked, but then stay there with steadfast. After that is when you're going to hit them with the big unit. The other way to do it is that...
Night goblins.
Do you like night goblins?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other one is if you have a war boss that has the Helm of Commandment, so he's stubborn, you throw him in there, he holds, and then again you hit the dwarves with something hard after they lose that hatred. Because in the second round of combat it won't be so hard, and you can actually grind them down pretty good. Shira, which way would you rather go? Would you rather go with the night goblins, or would you rather go with the war boss that's stubborn?
The war boss is devil.
Yeah, is that just because that's crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy, actually. It's one of those things where it's a little bit risky, but something that the dwarf player can't actually stop you very well with, because you might not even see it coming. You move up with the unit, the character runs out and charges into them, and all of a sudden it says, oh wow, this stubborn guy charges out from the unit, and you can kind of catch them off guard, but the more reliable way is probably going to be to just doing it with the regular night goblin way, even though they're going to be getting killed. The problem with that, though, even though it's more reliable to start off with, is that those night goblins are going to be dying in the second round of combat, and so that combat res is going to be hurting you. Now, the next thing to talk about is the dwarf war machines. They're pretty tough, right, Shira?
Yeah.
What are you more scared of? They're grudge throwers, they're cannons, they're bolt throwers. Which one?
Both and even a sword.
Yeah, if those bolt throwers start shooting out swords, they're going to be pretty damn good. But the bolt throwers I won't worry so much about. There's going to be the two main things. You're going to see these big, huge grudge throwers that are strength 5, can re-roll their scatters and stuff. And these are going to put big, huge holes in your army. The other thing is the cannons. And the big thing that they're going to do is that your chariots are going to be knocked out, and also your war machines. If you take war machines to try and combat them, well, their cannons are just going to knock you out like nothing. So, with that in mind, you want to make sure that you don't have a lot of things that are going to be good against them, or weak against them. For example, if you take the troll horde, well, a lot of times they have a 5-point item that makes them have fire attacks, so troll hordes will get destroyed. However, other hordes could do a little bit better. So the main thing here is that, though, you want to have it so that your attacks are coming from characters. And the reason for that is that then you have all this punching power, but as opposed to a horde of black orcs, losses from the unit don't matter as much. Alright? The other thing here is that you can use these war machines against them, because their war machines are really good, but they're really expensive. How many points do you pay for your dwarf war machines?
$5.
$5 a war machine. I mean, that's expensive. I mean, when we're talking about more like that super grudge store one, that's getting somewhere upwards to, what is it, something like 160 points or something. It's like 75 points of upgrades, and then it starts at 80 points or something. So 150. But the main thing here is that they're really expensive. So if you can get to them very quickly, you can start getting your points back. You just have to worry about them being stubborn so that you're not going to be going through as quickly as possible. But one thing you can do is that while you're stalling and fighting the line, again, as always, you always want to concentrate on one point with all your characters to kind of move across. You can have another unit that's moving around and just clicking off these war machines. Now, you might think that that's almost useless because by the time you're killing them, you're already in combat. However, these are just giving you so many victory points that in the end, it's just helping you so much. I mean, a big unit of night goblins that's holding up the flank over here is equal to just killing that one grudge thrower. So you can be recouping these points really quick. Another thing I want to talk about is they're going to have phenomenal magic defense. You know, every single rune priest or whatever in there is going to add a spell dice. They have so many different runes that can stop you. They can take multiples of them, and so they could basically have something like 7 dispel runes and all these things. So I really would not think that magic is going to do well against them. So I mean, if it's the thing we go making a list to fight them, don't even bother taking magic. Just put everything into really good characters. And while we're talking about characters, you probably want to make sure that your characters can deal with big armor, because the best thing dwarves have is their toughness and their armor. So if you take things like great weapons or killing blow, that's ways to get past this. And even though I'd say the best suited dwarf lord will beat the best orc war boss, they're usually actually fairly defensive. In tournaments, they'll take defensive lords. And the other thing, again, is remember that these guys are going to be scariest in the first round, so make sure to challenge them with your unit champs in the first round, and then fight them with your war boss after to finish them off. Is there something else you wanted to add about how to fight dwarves? Like, how would you beat a dwarf army?
My sword.
With a sword. So if it's ever failing, just pull out your sword and hit them. That's going to work just great. How about, what would you think more about things like the anvil? Because the dwarves have that anvil that they can hit to make crazy things happen. What about that?
They're happy.
You just hit the anvil?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you see a guy with an anvil, just push it off the table and shatter it, and then it's gone. But if you don't want to be kicked out of the tournament, probably what you want to do is just keep in mind that if they have something like miners or something, that at any point these miners can be coming anywhere on the board and charging you. And so really there's almost nothing you can do about that, except for just always thinking that any unit that's within basically a foot of the board edge, just always think what happens if this unit has to flee. And it's always being really flexible with your battle plan, that all of a sudden, okay, this unit was going to go around and get those war machines, but now there's miners here, now I have to flee, and I'll rally over here. Okay, now I'm going to start concentrating on this side. So you have to be really flexible to deal with this. And again, this thing is really expensive, because the anvil is a lot of points, the rune lord on it is a lot of points, he usually has more runes on it, that's a lot of points, so that main unit that goes around there racking this stuff up, make sure to get to him quick. And the only thing is that you're not going to be able to really do that with characters, because he's just going to challenge you every time, and so unless you have a really good fighty character lord there that's going to be able to deal with that, it actually would be better if you had something that was hitting hard, such as the Black Orcs or something. And again, I mean, now this is getting to the point where Black Orcs are bad against the war machines, but they're good at taking them out. So you're going to have to try and find the balance with this. And in the end, it seems the best way is just to take these super characters and a character that's going to be strong enough to beat a dwarf lord, a defensive one, and a defensive rune lord. So there you mainly have it. You have the main dangers is that you have to get past the first round because of their hatred. Do that either through throwing in a unit that's going to be steadfast or having the stubborn war boss. Make sure to get those expensive war machines, and make sure you're not having something sit out there that they can get those points really easy. Avoid magic if you can, because it's not going to happen. And if you are stuck that you do have magic in one of these games, the best we can go is just go big and just try and get irresistible force. Or if it turns out that the way his magic defense is set up is that he has tons of scrolls, maybe you can start drawing those out with a whole bunch of small spells, but in the end, you're just going to have to be risky and go for that irresistible force. So there you have it, Malorian and She-Ra that's turning into a monster, and we'll see you next time. We're going to start talking about some of these new rumors coming up from the new book. So can you say bye, She-Ra?
Bye.
See you.